Hi, everyone. I'm retired meteorologist Pat Prokop from Savannah, Georgia, and today is Friday, August the 8th. Things have been relatively quiet, continuing in the tropics over the last several days and several weeks. A couple of minor storms develop, a couple troughs of low pressure, but nothing really major has yet developed. And usually we don't see anything a great intensity developing until after August 15th. And right now we're beginning to see tropical waves moving across the tropical Atlantic Ocean, and none of them really causing any great concern. However, one tropical wave is beginning to move off the coast of Africa, and the computer models are picking up on this system. And what they're saying is that we should watch it. So with that being said, let's go to the maps. And first of all, from the National Hurricane Center, and looking at the conditions out there. From the National Hurricane Center, there's a weak area of low pressure that's trying to develop off the Mid-Atlantic coastal states. I don't see anything of any significance developing with this. Even if it does, it's out in the open waters of the Atlantic, so nothing really to worry about. And this system here, again, it's very, very weak. I'm going to show you a satellite image of that in a moment. You're going to say, well, what are you all talking about? I'm not expecting much out of that either. And again, it's just remaining out in the middle of the tropical Atlantic Ocean. But there is activity trying to show up over here off the west coast of Africa. So let's go to the maps right now, the satellite imagery. And there you can see that system in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, tropical Atlantic Ocean, really not all that great. It's a little bit of convection associated with it. I'll get it out. And over here, though, we are seeing a rather large tropical wave developing on the coast and moving off the coast of Western Africa. Further east view of that from the European weather satellite, Meteostat 1, it's showing that the tropical wave over here off the west coast in the western portions of Africa moving into the tropical Atlantic Ocean bears watching. It needs to be watched. And behind those, other tropical waves are developing across Central Africa and eastern portions of Africa. So we'll have to keep an eye on the tropics. Of course, it's becoming that time of the year where we need to really keep an eye on the tropics, particularly if you're living in coastal areas like we do. So we're keeping an eye on the tropics. All right, let's take a look at the models. It's a good way to start keeping an eye on the tropics and see what they're up to. And usually if one model shows one thing and another model shows something else and a third model shows yet something else, then really there's nothing of any significance to look at. So first of all, let's take a look at the global forecast system. That's the United States model. And I have it set on the tropical Atlantic Ocean, North Atlantic area, and from the coast of Africa all the way into the Caribbean Sea and the Gulf of Mexico. And it's showing basically that weak trough over here in the center portion of the tropical Atlantic Ocean. So let's put this into motion. Then we can see that trough in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean progressing west-northwestward and then curving more off to the north, but showing no major signs of development. And that weak area of low pressure off the mid-Atlantic coastal states, well off to the east of that, is moving off to the north-northeast and showing a little signs of developing, but it's more or less non-tropical in nature. But over here, we're seeing that wave that's moved off the coast of Africa beginning to take some shape. And let's put this into motion. This now as of Monday afternoon. And then the other system basically washes out here in the central Atlantic Ocean. This other system, though, we're keeping an eye on, looks like it's getting a little bit better organized. It's moving into an environment that is more conducive for tropical storm development. And as it moves across that area, again, the models are showing tropical storm development. And it continues to approach the Virgin Islands and becoming a bit of a storm, a bit of a problem developing over here and continuing to motion. Let's see, where are we right now? This is this Saturday, a week from tomorrow, coming up, August the 16th. And continuing in motion and going into the time frame around Monday of the 18th of August. Not this Monday, but the 18th of August. So that's 10 days from now. It shows a potent storm in and around the Bahamas at this time and continuing to move off to the west, moving across the Straits of Florida as potential hurricane then. and then into the Gulf, whatever you want to call it, the Gulf of America, the Gulf of Mexico, and continues to move off to the west to the coast of Texas. All right, that is the GFS, the Global Forecast System, the American model. What about the European Center for Medium Range Weather Forecast? Basically, the European model, and let's put that into motion. And here we have it again, that little wave here in the tropical Atlantic Ocean, the central portion of the ocean, putting it into motion, and it's moving off and basically did the same thing that the GFS did. It washes out. Really nothing of any consequence to be concerned about there. But there, that wave that's coming off the African coast is taking shape over here. This is Tuesday of next week, actually early in the morning, late night Monday, early Tuesday morning. Here's Tuesday morning now at sunrise. And again, it's taking a little bit better shape, not quite as rapid development as the GFS was showing. But it's still showing continuing development as it moves into that environment of potential development area, favorable for development. And going into this region here, this is a Saturday the 16th, again, not tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow. This is 8 days away, showing a potential storm over here in the Virgin Islands. And, living in Savannah, Georgia, Hilton Head, Brunswick, Jekyll Island, St. Simon's Island area, anytime we have a storm that's approaching the northern Virgin Islands, those are the storms we really have to keep an eye on. And well, that's where this one is. All right, let's continue, if the forecast pans out, of course. But again, this is 8 days from now. And then going into continuation, it shows the system by Sunday afternoon approaching the southern Bahamas and then moving into the Bahamas and then curving off to the northwest. And if it does that, it'll be missing the Georgia coast and moving up into the mid-Atlantic coastal states. So here's the issue here. One model has it going into the Gulf. The other model has it going up to the north. So where's it going to go? Well, we don't know. But the models indicate that it's something we definitely need to keep an eye on. Why is that? Well, first of all, let's take a look at those water temperature. The fuel supply of any tropical storm or hurricane are the warm waters of the tropics, and those waters are definitely warm in the upper 20s and lower 30s Celsius. That's in the mid to upper 80s on the Fahrenheit scale, and temperatures in the central and eastern Gulf of Mexico are in the lower 30s. That's about 88 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit temperature of the water. The warmer the water, the more energy available for tropical storms to develop. And usually with those type of conditions, water temperature, that is the potential for rapid intensification of storms. So once a storm, if it's already organized, gets into this rich warm water or high fuel content, it has the capability of rapid development. So something else we have to keep an eye on, even off the coast of the eastern coast of Florida, the western Atlantic, and off the coast of Georgia and South Carolina, the water temperatures there are in the mid to upper 80s as well. So anything that gets into this vicinity has the potential to draw into this rich fuel supply. All right, let's take a look at the regional radar summary. We'll keep an eye on the tropics. Right now, it's just something to watch. Don't be overly concerned. It's just something to watch. All right. This is of concern to some extent because this looks like a weekend spoiler developing for our area. We're seeing a trough of low pressure off the coast of South Carolina and Georgia moving inland, and it's spreading showers and some thunderstorms into the inland areas. So, side note here, for the first 6 days in August, I live on the south side of Savannah, and I have a official rain gauge, and I measured 12.4 inches of rain in those first 6 days. So I'm already over 12 inches of rain for the month of August, and we're beginning to see some rain falling across the area right now. Matter of fact, it looks like some moderate to heavy rains. Let's take a look at that on the other radar. If I can pull it up, if I can find it. There it is. And let's see if the notifications are on. Turn the notifications on. There it is. And this indicates that Emergency management reporting flooding near the intersection of 52nd Street and Montgomery Street on the central west side of Savannah between Montgomery Street and the railroad. Water is reported to be a foot deep on the road. So heavy rains are already falling across portions of the greater Savannah area around the Silk Hope region and up to the north into it looks like the Southbridge area and going in toward the eastern portions of Pooler. Anyway, already 2 inches of rain has just fallen across that area this afternoon. So, that being said, let's take a look at the forecast for the remainder of the weekend, and it looks like we're going to see more of that rain developing. Looks like a very wet Friday night across the region, and then going into Saturday. This is Saturday here in the sunrise time frame around 8 o'clock in the morning, and then looks like more rain, possible heavy rain at times moving into the area and progressing inland from the Atlantic, moving inland, and more again on Sunday. So it looks like a very wet weekend shaping up across our area. Again, the weekend looks like it's going to be a wet one for our area. Sorry about that. Looking at the National Blend of Models forecast, which is a pretty good handle on how much precipitation is going to be falling across this area. Look at that. And by Monday at 12, or actually 2 o'clock in the afternoon, a significant amount of rain expected across the region, 2 to 3 inches across the coastal counties, with 1 to 2 inches across the adjacent counties and inland counties, to about 1 inch to 1.25 inches over the central portions of Georgia, South Carolina. All of Florida is going to be a wet one as well. And a closer view of that shows the rain totals be rather significant already, though, as we just saw in the radar report. 2 inches of rain has already fallen across central portions of Savannah, moving into the Savannah west side and moving in toward the Pooler region and Garden City. So, yeah, a lot of rain expected once again. And, with the way things are going, I might end up with 20 inches of rain before the 15th of August at my rain gauge here on the south side of Savannah. Anyway, looking at the forecast, well, this is no surprise. Rain chances continuing Friday or today, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday at 80 to 90% probability. 90% probability is the way it's going right now. That's looks like on the low side. It looks like 100% chance. Rain likely for this weekend. Going into Monday, 90%, 70% by Tuesday, down to 60% Wednesday and Thursday. But still, that's a moderate to high chance for rain. And we're going to see quite a bit of rain across the region, and potential for thunderstorms as well. And looking at the next 6 weeks, expect to see more or less the same for all of next week. And then rain chances slightly below the normal, approaching normal, slightly above normal for the first 3 weeks in this forecast period. So, yeah, temperatures, though, near normal for this time of the year. Normal high right now is 91. Normal low is 73 degrees. So things are looking rather wet for this weekend. And again, we're keeping an eye on the tropics. We've got that system out there. It's approaching that time of the year where the hurricanes and tropical storms are expected to start developing. Usually by August 15th, we start seeing continuation of systems forming, sometimes 2, sometimes 3. I remember one time we had 4 storms. I think one time we had 5 named storms going on in the Atlantic Ocean. But right now, we just have to keep an eye on that next system. The next storm on the name is the E storm. That's Aaron. And I'll keep an eye on that. We might have to deal with that. But again, nothing set in stone. It just needs to be watched. And I'll watch it for you right here on my YouTube channel. So thanks for watching, and thanks for all those who support my channel. You saw the list at the beginning of the video. And if you'd like to support my channel, I would appreciate that. You can join my channel or my Patreon page, or send a super like or a super thanks. I appreciate those. Helps to keep this channel up and running. It costs money to keep this channel up and running. Anyway, I'm spending my money so that I can get you the information that you would like to know. So with that being said, stay dry. Well, that's going to be a challenge this weekend. Try it anyway. See you later. Bye.